Things around here on the channel have been a little crazy ever since we started releasing mods again. The CW team has been hard at work making all kinds of mods all the time, and because of that, of course, I do want to cover them, but that means that Mods Weekly kind of fell under the radar for a little bit, so I decided to take some of the best mods this month and lump them into one big video featuring all of the best mods of February 2025. These are in no particular order, and my choices here don't need to be inferred to mean anything. These are just some of my favorites that came out this month, some of the ones that really shined out above the rest. And of course, I'm going to try not to feature my own mods here. I do think that my mods are pretty high quality, but I don't want to trample over anybody else's spotlight, and also my mods get their own videos anyways. This is not the place for that, so if you're interested in my weapons, you can go check out my channel. I actually have a My Mods playlist. But today, we're going to be talking about all of the really cool mods that came out this past month, and boy, there sure are some cool ones. Brand new weapons, brand new power armors, and some other fun goodies, including a whole new sub-faction of NPCs, so that one's really fun. We're going to go ahead and get started, though, with the newest mod this week, which is known as the Advanced Battle Rifle Remake by Branstorm Epilogue. This is going to be an overhaul of their original Screaming Eagle Advanced Battle Rifle mod, but it's gotten some major upgrades, from new animations to wonderful new models and textures, some really cool stuff in the ways of the new Unique, as well as some other little goodies. So this is going to be a comprehensive AR mod that's going to feature two different versions of the AR. One is going to be in 308 and one is going to be in 556. The 308 version is known as the Advanced Battle Rifle, and the 556 is the Advanced Battle Carbine. Now, using the modification system in this mod, you can make pretty much any version of the M4 that has been available in Fallout. That includes the Marksman Carbine, the Service Rifle, the Assault Carbine, as well as some others that haven't really been available, including the Screaming Eagle unique skin thing from Fallout 76. I'm not too well versed in that one because I don't really play 76, but I am aware of its existence. But we're also going to get some additional really unique items in this mod, including things like the AR-10, and even a belt-fed AR in a nice retro style, which is pretty freaking cool. All of the weapons in this pack are going to have their own custom animations made by Branstorm Epilogue that are going to be an overhaul of their previous animations. They have gotten a huge facelift, a massive improvement, and I quite like how these look. They're also going to have leveled list integration, which is really, really cool. The way that these weapons are integrated into the level list is pretty interesting. They will start spawning in quote-unquote non-combat roles after level 20. This will include things like quest rewards, vendors, and even legendary drops, things that will just sort of drop randomly. But between level 20 and 30, you'll start seeing this thing appearing on different NPCs, mostly of the friendly variety, things like Minutemen and Settlers, and then after level 30, they will spawn on very common hostile NPCs like Raiders and Gunners, making them a bit more challenging with pretty good gear in that way. As far as the customization goes for this weapon, I already talked about it a little bit. There are a massive amount of options, again, allowing you to make all of the old versions of the weapon that have featured themselves in Fallout before, but also completely new varieties, so many attachments, and so many skins. It uses the palette system, so you can color this thing pretty much any way you want, including a custom skin section where you can edit the texture yourself and choose the exact color combos you'd like for your gun, which is a pretty interesting thing. You have to have a little bit of modding knowledge to deal with that, but it's not too crazy. Photoshop and a DDS converter is pretty much all you need. Like I said, this weapon pack also comes with a unique in the form of the Screaming Eagle, which is going to be a 308 belt-fed AR-10, which is nothing like the 76 version of the Screaming Eagle, and quite frankly, that's just fine because this is way cooler and way better. It's going to feature the unlimited ammo or never-ending legendary effect, which is pretty fitting for a huge thing like this. It is a little disappointing. I wish we had seen some drum animations for this guy, but I do like the implication that this is just such a gigantic mag that you'll never have to reload. That is pretty funny, and it makes for a pretty fun unique. Now, a little bit of a spoiler warning, if you want to get your hands on that belt-fed unique, it is going to be found over in the Glowing Sea at the Crashed Vertibird site. That's where you get your hands on this thing. And that's fair because this is a pretty beefy weapon. You're going to need to trek into some dangerous territory to get it. Overall, a fantastic mod and one of the best AR mods we have for those of you who are in the sort of retro fan base, people who like the more classic weapons as opposed to the really modern ones. That being said, there are still some pretty modern options in this one, so maybe a while before we get a really true-to-form retro AR mod. Now, the next mod we're checking out is a brand new addition for the Gunners faction, known as Locked and Loaded by Rascalart. This is going to add a handful of new NPCs to the Gunner faction, themed around robots. This is going to include some form of battle droids, which are humanoid, skeletal robots that will hold weapons and even wear armor. We have some beefier versions of the Assaultron, which come with super heavy armor rigged up to the power armor animations, and they can have any slew of weapons, but they may even have their own custom massive sword. We have the Gunner Mule, which is a robot dog, kind of like those ones that you see in real life. I forget the name of the company. It's kind of slipping my brain at the moment, but similar kind of vibe that will carry stuff for them, but will also attack you if you get too close. There is the Gunner War Master, which is a massive tank or behemoth of a monster. I believe it's on Liberty Prime animations. This thing has shoulder-mounted rocket pods and a huge weapon system. It reminds me a lot of the Atlas from Battletech or Mech Warrior, if you're familiar with that. This thing is huge and super, super cool. And there's even a unique enemy featured in this mod, which is going to allow you to hunt down a rogue robot who has gone to living in the glowing sea, and he has his own custom armor and weapons that you can actually obtain and use for yourself if you hunt him down, so that's pretty dang cool. If you're not familiar with Rascalart, Rascalart always does these big packs of NPCs. They've done aliens and mutant add-ons and all kinds of other crazy stuff in the past, and this one's really interesting. I think it's a really cool twist to the Gunners. It makes them a hell of a lot harder. Trying to take out Gunner's Plaza when there's one of these War Master robots there is pretty difficult. There's only a handful of these guys around the map. They're that strong, they're treated like world bosses, but if you give it enough time, they will respawn after a few weeks, so keep that in mind if you're trying to clear out places for loot. These guys will be hunting you down. They are pretty nasty. I love additions like this, though. Really cool new NPCs to add into the game to make the world more lively and more interesting for a new playthrough. Being able to encounter new NPCs that even have new loot is really awesome. I quite like the little battle droid guys. They have really vast level lists. I found them spawning with all kinds of weapons, including some of my own, and that was really cool to see. But again, with that unique boss out in the glowing sea, the rogue Children of Atom style Assaultron that has a crazy looking lightning sword as well as a crazy lightning gun. That thing is really fun. There should be some footage of that boss fight somewhere in this video. It is probably one of the coolest parts of this mod, just for that one singular NPC. And if you like that, stay tuned, because I'm pretty sure that Rascalart's next mod is going to lean into that sort of aesthetic. So keep that in mind for some of the mods coming out in the future months. That's going to be quite a lot of fun when that comes out too. But this mod itself is going to give you a lot of bang for your buck. A bunch of cool new NPCs that are scattered all around the wasteland. Even when I wasn't trying to record for these guys, when I was just doing stuff for other mods in this video, I kept running into them, so it made for some pretty interesting combat footage and also some pretty difficult encounters as well. Super fun mod, really cool stuff by Rascalart as usual. Really cool way to reuse vanilla assets to make brand new stuff, making this mod super lightweight as well. Definitely one I'd recommend. There's no reason not to download this thing if you're looking for more enemies for a really lightweight cost in your load order. Now the next mod we're checking out is going to be an absolutely massive 20mm bolt action rifle known as the M20A1 Whalegun anti-tank rifle by the 6th Messenger. Now, the basic version of this gun is going to be known as the anti-tank rifle. It's going to use 20mm rounds, which can be coming from munitions, but I believe they're also built in standalone as well. It just depends on which one you're using. If you're not using munitions, it's going to have its own injected ammo type that is only usable by this gun, or if you are using munitions, it will be usable by this gun and any other gun that's using 20mm, like my anti-power armor rifle. This weapon does come with custom animations, which is perfect considering this is a massive weapon. Something in 50 cal, let alone 20mm, would look pretty wimpy on hunting rifle animations, so it's nice to see it with its own custom animations for some big beefy recoil and a really long bolt pull. Of course, this weapon is going to have level-less integration as well, so you will be able to find the base version of the weapon all around the world. There are a handful of uniques, quite a few of them in fact, that all have their own crazy looking paint schemes, as well as some pretty crazy effects, including an Institute version that will spawn synths wherever you shoot it. Now, if you're not a member of the Institute faction, that's not going to be very good for you because they're going to attack you immediately. But if you are, that's just calling in free support every time you kill an enemy, which is pretty dang cool. If you'd like to find this weapon on the level list, it has a pretty comprehensive set of places that it can spawn. That includes purchasing it from vendors, finding it on Gunners after level 30, the Brotherhood of Steel after level 30, Trappers at level 25, Minutemen at level 40, Operators will have it from launch, which is kind of crazy. You could beeline it to Nuka World and they'll have it immediately. You can find it on the legendary loot pool, and it does just spawns naturally at military bases like the National Guard Training Yard, Fort Hagen, and Fort Independence, and Fort Strong. There are also Enclave-powered troops if you have the Remnants patch, which will make this spawn on the Enclave Remnants from the Creation Club content. Now, personally, I do have a couple of little quarrels with the way this weapon is balanced in terms of its level disintegration. In my opinion, it spawns pretty early. The late game of Fallout can go into the hundreds of levels, and this thing's spawning at level 30 in 20mm, what I would consider one of the largest ballistic options available, period. It is a huge round packing some massive damage. We did our own 20mm, which is a single shot, meaning you have to fire and then reload after every shot. And it's a lengthy reload. And we didn't have that thing start spawning until I think after level 40 or 50. And this thing spawns pretty early and it's bolt action and mag fed. So I'm just throwing that out there. I think it spawns a little early for how much damage this thing could be doing. That being said, it did seem to underperform a little bit. It didn't do as much damage as I think 20mm maybe should. But if you are using something like my patch, which makes all calibers do their own damage respectively, 20mm is going to pack a massive punch, and this thing's going to spawn way too early. So you may want to tweak these leveled lists for yourself. Just kind of depends. Luckily, all this stuff is customizable because that's just what modding is. Overall, though, a really fun weapon with tons of goodies to hunt down. It's really worth a download. Lots of fun to play with if you're looking for a new heavy sniper. Thankfully, we're seeing a lot of heavy snipers as of lately, so we have a lot of really cool options in a various amount of calibers. For our next mod, though, we're going to be talking about the Diving Power Armor by Selakii. This is going to be a refitting of the diving armor from Far Harbor to be making it into a power armor suit, which honestly is way more fitting than the original set. This thing looks way more proper, a huge suit of armor that's going to protect you from the elements, or at least the water element. It's an absolutely massive set of diving armor that comes with its own upgrades that make it better than the standard diving armor in Far Harbor, including some new skins you can throw on, as well as some different customization options over at the Power Armor Workbench, and even a couple of unique variants that you can go find, including one that's buried in the sea and another that is going to be found on a new unique boss. There is actually some footage of that in this video. Keep in mind, this boss was pretty difficult, and the way third person works in Fallout made that fight very hard. Every time he hit me, it staggered me, and that took long enough for him to be able to hit me again. So that was a little annoying. But it's a pretty rewarding boss fight because you get your own unique set of diving power armor with its own skin that's pretty cool. If you want to get your hands on this power armor, it's going to be a little different than your typical power armor. It's actually located in random places underwater. It's not going to be found in the same place as other power armors. You're going to need to go and search for this thing in the ocean, which is very fitting since it is diving armor. There's also a couple of uniques, like I said, one of which is also found just sitting in the water, and you'll find this one pretty easily because it is glowing. And then the other one is going to be found over at Lynn Woods with a boss known as Havel the Turtle, which gives you the unique turtle armor, which is a little bit beefier than your typical diving suit and has its own really cool paint job, or paint job might not be the right words. It's covered in seaweed and barnacles and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. Overall, some really cool stuff. It even has compatibility with the diving power armor metal pates by Robotized. There's a link to it on the mod page that gives you even more skins for this, which is pretty cool. You'd love to see even more customization for really cool, unique armors like this. Something that pretty much only the hero of the story is going to be wearing. If you're doing a sort of nautical-themed character, then this is great. If you want to main a harpoon gun and stick around in Far Harbor, this might be the perfect armor for your character. The next mod we're checking out is known as the West-Tek Combat Rifle and Uranium Rifle by Micalov. Now, since this video has been worked on over the course of a month instead of a week-to-week basis, this mod has been updated like 10 times in this month, adding brand new content. And thankfully, I did wait on this one till the very end so that I could get all of those updates. So, the basis of this mod was supposed to be sort of a combat rifle replacer, or at the very least, a new weapon that is supposed to look like the combat rifle, but better, and function better as well. It has combat rifle aesthetic, it's mapped to combat rifle textures, but it's in the form of sort of the AK reload from Nuka World. It comes in small pistol calibers and full-length rifle calibers. It's going to go from 45 to 5.56 to 308, which is pretty cool. A much better set of calibers than the vanilla combat rifle, which comes in 38, 45, and 308, in my opinion. And it's going to have some really cool customization options. One of the big updates actually added a carry handle to give this sort of an M16 vibe, but one of the more recent updates added the uranium rifle on top of this, which is going to be a gamma version of this weapon used by the Children of Adam, so that's pretty cool. This weapon does, of course, have new level-less integration, which is going to add it anywhere that you would find a combat rifle. So anywhere you might find a combat rifle, you might get this instead now. Additionally, there is going to be the uranium rifle, which will spawn on Children of Adam as its own level-less. There are no uniques and no custom animations for this. It will use the Nuka World AK animations, but it does have a patch if you are using right-handed animations, which is great because that is something I'm doing, and the animations look perfectly fine on this weapon. Overall, a fun, new, lore-friendly aesthetic weapon that fits as a great replacer for the combat rifle. If you want to, you can easily replace it with this, and you'll have a new version of the combat rifle that I think is a little bit better fitting. It still looks like it's part of that family right alongside the combat shotgun, but it looks like its own weapon, as opposed to some reused parts that were thrown into the game last minute. A really cool design with some really fun parts. Overall, a nice weapon by Micalov as usual. And again, this thing is kit bashed using mostly vanilla textures, meaning this thing is super lightweight, coming in at just 1.9 megabytes. No reason not to download this thing if you're a fan of lore-friendly weapons and you want something a little bit better than the combat rifle to see on the enemies around the wasteland. And finally, that takes us to our last mod of this video, which is quite a honker in itself. We have another Millennia, a weapon pack by CSEP. You may be familiar with the Another Millennia project, which aims to take weapons from Millennia and bring them over to Fallout 4. Now, there's the original weapons of the new Millennia mod, then there's Another Millennia, which is going to be an overhaul of that for New Vegas, and then this is Another Millennia for Fallout 4. It's a whole string of stuff, I know, but you are going to get some really cool weapons that are going to be ported straight over from New Vegas, but they're going to be revamped with new textures, new attachments, new animations, all kinds of fun stuff that make them a little bit better for Fallout 4. This is going to include a massive amount of weapons, complete with all of their uniques. It's basically just a merge of all of the standalone weapons from Another Millennia into one big pack that's going to include 16 new standalone weapons as well as 12 uniques for each of them. It's honestly quite a lot of stuff. You've got the 45 pistol, which is going to be a 1911, the Riot Police Shotgun, the Magnum Autoloader, which is your Deagle, Simplified SMG, which is a Sten, the Radium SMG, which is a Children of Adam variant of that, the Handcrafted SMG, or the Boars, Vintage Pistol, or the C96, the Vintage Shotgun, or the Winchester 1897, you know, the Trench Gun. You've got the Surplus Rifle, a classic M16, the Service Pistol for a Beretta M92 FS. We have the Heavy Soviet Shotgun, which is a KS-23, and even a unique version of that that's an energy weapon that shoots out big Tesla beams. You have the Classic Combat Shotgun with the Classic Reload, which is a pretty interesting addition. The European Assault Rifle, which is an FN-FNC. The Rocket Pistol, a unique gyrojet pistol. The Bullpup Sniper Rifle, which is a WA 2000. The Doublet from Metro. And then also all kinds of uniques to go with those. Every single one of these weapons is added to the leveled list, which is kind of ridiculous. So you'll see these things spawning all around the world with one simple download. And all of these uniques are placed in the world as well, so you have some pretty fun scavenger hunts to do on top of that. This weapon pack is absolutely massive. It is a collection of works over the course of a few years of Pig porting over some of the Millennia goodies. So it is going to look a little out of place, I will say. The Millennia textures are a bit odd for Fallout 4. It was definitely intended for Fallout New Vegas, so porting them over makes them look a little out of place. They're really dark, really matte, and that's just not what Fallout 4's weapons look like. But if you don't mind that, you're going to get a massive amount of weapons. You could probably even download this pack and then just remove all the vanilla weapons if you wanted to. I wouldn't actually recommend that, but theoretically, if you were dedicated enough, you could do that. Either way, tons of really cool weapons. All kinds of different archetypes as well, many different kinds of weapons, shotguns, rifles, pistols, snipers, and you can pair this with Pig's massive pack of all of his makeshift weapons, and then you have even more stuff to use out in the world. Now keep in mind that because of this pack releasing, that means Pig is no longer going to be supporting another Millennia. There will not be any more weapons like that. He is spending most of his time working now over on our weapons for CW, which I think is kind of where he wants to be anyway, so don't look at it as a bad thing. It just means more high quality weapons are coming later on. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed. There are a lot of mods to check out. They will all be linked down in the description below. This is a really good haul of both weapons and armors and cool new NPCs, all kinds of really cool stuff that came out this month. It was a bit of a slow month, but we definitely got some gems mixed in there, so doing this sort of roundup of the month was kind of a nice format, I think, for February. We'll see how it goes in the future. I may or may not continue doing monthly, I might do weekly, just kind of depends on how things go, so don't anticipate one or the other, we'll just wait and see. With that though, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, all the links for all of these mods will be down in the description, and while you're down there, consider dropping the video a like if you enjoyed this. It really helps let me know what videos you guys like to see, and it helps with the channel, and it's free. That being said, you can also consider checking me out on Patreon, however. If you enjoy these videos or the mods I'm currently making over on the Nexus, it is the best way to support me directly. It is of course completely optional, nothing you should feel like you need to do, but it is there if you'd like to. With that, once again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!